Fuck. This one's interesting because about halfway through my audio goes really crazy, so I cut it out. You can notice that we're starting off in about double speed, and I may be talking over some other background noise that you hear here in just a minute, so yeah, interesting times. So, since the last time we got the nitro powder, and we're going to use it to blow up that little piece of land that I just sailed beside, by going over here to Mount Durgar, where the dwarves are. And we're going to get a whole bunch of stuff. The dwarves actually here are giving you hints about what you're supposed to do with some other items that we found, but yeah, we already did all that. Old school games, you're supposed to talk to everybody and piece together the clues. I always found that a little bit tedious and strange. So yeah, he's gonna somehow destroy a land bridge with nitro powder. Not sure exactly how this works, but plot, you know what I mean? You can already tell that the audio... Oh yeah, that was an old throat clear. It's funny how that works. Anyways, the audio is a little bit desynced here. I don't know what I had running on the computer at the time of recording, because I don't seem to have that problem with all of these. And ta-da, we have created a shallow, little, narrow spot of water that we can somehow sail through safely. Isn't that exciting? It's early. My throat. You hear that? That was the sound of the door. Yeah, it's way desynced. So, I'm going to look into a little bit of this before I get started on the next few games. By the way, one idea I had and what I think I'm actually going to go with is, instead of playing all these games in order of release, like I was thinking about Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth, I'm going to bounce around in order of how much I'm interested in them, and also in such a way that splits up the games with job systems and stuff like that. So 1, 3, and 5... 1, 3, and 5. Yeah, 1, 3, and 5 have kind of like a job system. And then 2, 4, and 6 are more of just like, here's your party members. Maybe they have a job class, but you can't change it. And, you know, so on and so forth. So that's something I'm going to keep in mind when I section these up. So here are some of the most important things you can get are Curaga and Life. Healara is also incredibly handy. Yeah, that you hear faintly in the background, that's my daughter explaining to me that she was playing a game, and she did really well. Alright, so here, teleport is sort of like warp in the later games. It just brings you back a floor. It can be handy. It might even be more handy than Slowra. I don't really know, but Exit is a white magic spell. And Exit is, you know, it brings you all the way out, so... when your spell charges are extremely limited, I would say Exit is much more useful, so yeah, once silver armlets open up like they do here, that's extremely handy to a mage heavy party like I have. And also, as you can see, you know, thieves and monks can't really equip very good body armor, so gotta use that as well. Armlets in general. I'm not sure how much this background music's going to come through in my recording, but I just kicked on a little something music from the original for me. Yeah, I will go ahead and discuss it a little bit. So, Final Fantasy IV was the first Final Fantasy game I played and my favorite for a very long time, and still is my favorite story wise. Sure, it has its shortcomings. It is not a perfect game by any means, but that's the one I'm going to play after this. It is very straightforward, no job classes, nothing like that, and it would be interesting to break up the monotony. And it's not exactly a very long game. Another important thing it's got going for it is that I've played through it at least 5 times, and I know the game from back to front. There's probably a couple things I may miss, but I bet you that I can play through the game without forgetting anything and actually maybe be able to get the platinum trophy, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what you would call it on Steam. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. Um, so, I'm going to try to get these episodes of FF1 out as quick as possible so I can jump to 4 and show you, yeah, one of my favorite games of all time. Um, Now, I'm talking about it in a certain way because don't get me wrong, Final Fantasy 5 and 6 are both still A games. Like they are worthy of a ranking of, 9 out of 10 at least. Um, so I don't want you to think that Final Fantasy 4 is some kind of magically better. It's just nostalgically special to me. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. And I'm going to go a lot into the themes of, what the game is about and stuff like that, which is something that Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3, they're not deep. They have no, like, story, themes or lessons. It's just, hey, go do the thing and save the world. Like that's all they are. And that's all the more reason to sort of spread 1, 2, and 3 out in between some others so that I'm not like back to back playing 3 games that have almost no story. You know what I mean? Just my thought process. So yeah, here you see Black Mage is still being extremely useful and will continue to be very useful until about maybe the last dungeon of the game. He's doing really well, extremely well. Um, so one thing you'll see me do a whole lot when I'm playing these is I'm just trying to make sure I find everything that's useful. I'm not trying to get 100% of the treasures. I was definitely short a few by the time I finished the game. I don't really care to finish all those things. I spent 45 minutes to an hour trying to find the war mech to record on video and also to get the bestiary completion trophy, and I could not find the stinking thing. So I'm done. I'm done with all that. So yeah, about here I decided to go ahead and remove the weapon from my black belt because, well, you saw it dropped his attack power by 1, but it also increases his number of attacks, so he's going to be doing more damage. I didn't have a particular level I was aiming for. I was just, doing it. Coral Sword, Worm Killer, Rune Blade, they're all kind of similar power set and usefulness, but they do extra damage against certain enemies. There's a whole underwater section coming up that the Coral Sword could be useful for, but by the time we get there, we have stronger weapons, and I don't think it's really worth it. So this game's pacing is interesting, to say the least, in that manner. Final Fantasy IV, when you get extra damage versus certain enemies, it's quadruple. So yeah, that game is worth exploiting those things for sure. So you can have a little bit more. There you go. There you go. I know. Rub it on your arms and your legs. He has some kind of breakout. He wants solution. Alright, so here, the vampire. Cool thing about the vampire is it's technically a regular enemy, but a strong regular enemy for this point. He hits hard, but he doesn't have a whole lot of HP. Go watch Toy Story, bud. Thank you. Always a good idea to throw Invis on your first character. That's just kind of standard for this. Oh, you see that he recovers a little bit of HP every round. There's a few enemies in this game that do that. So with haste on my upper characters, yeah, I destroyed him. I didn't even have to put haste on the black belt, but you know, I don't know the HP of these enemies when I'm doing this part. So we get the Star Ruby. This is another unfair thing that the game makes you do. You got to get the Star Ruby and then leave the cave. And we don't have the exit spell, right? So we got to get the Star Ruby, walk all the way out of the cave to go to another cave. Watch. We're going to go up over here. Yep, use a tent, of course. Give the Star Ruby to the giant or the golem or whatever this thing is, and he'll let us go through so that we can get the Earth Rod. And then we got to go back to where we fought the vampire and go deeper into the cave. So this is the kind of stuff that, I mean, in my opinion, this is the old school way of making something longer, making something more challenging, but in an extremely boring, like not very interesting sort of way. Um, and some modern games still do this stuff where you backtrack 100 times, but you know, I think if you're gonna backtrack, let's make it interesting. Let's do something like Metroid or Castlevania, where you work your way back to an earlier section with a new power, where you can, you know, work your way into a completely new area. But the way that, like, Super Metroid, for example, does it is so smooth that you don't even feel like you're having to do any work. So here we get the Earth Rod, as it's called in this new translation, and it will enable us to go find the Fiend of Earth and the Earth Crystal. Bud, go watch your show. Go watch your movie. Thank you. So yeah, whoever this sage guy is, he's here. Go watch your thing. And we backtrack and look at how much pain I'm saving you by having the encounters off and by having the fast forward on. Isn't it great? A lot of these sections, I'll fast forward somewhere from 2 to 4 times the speed. I could go like 16 times, but this is pretty cool because you can actually see where I'm walking. Alright, so now we're in the lower levels of the Cavern of Earth. There's a bunch of monsters here. Some of these battles I'm going to speed up, some I will not. These enemies are pretty generic, you know what I mean? So yeah, get through them. And most of these treasures are not really like useful at all, in my opinion. Also, the soundtrack to all the Final Fantasy games is all incredible. They all have the same composer. I will not complain about any of them, but I just want to say that this track I have playing in the background is one of my favorites. And it's literally just overworld music. They did not have to go that hard, but they did. But you know what? He continues that theme, as you'll see. When we get to Final Fantasy VI, that is just ridiculously incredible. And Final Fantasy VII's is still among the best of all time. Like, it makes you just want to stand there on the world map and take it in, appreciate it for what it is. All right, I'm gonna change up my background music a little bit. So yeah, basically this place is a little bit of a maze. A little bit of a maze with some interesting monsters here. One thing as I watch this back, I could be using Scourge more on my Black Mage because it's. I think they make it poison elemental, chance of instant death, and some monsters have almost no resistance to it. Some have a decent amount of resistance, but it would. Oh, look at that! I clicked Scourge. So yeah, depending on who you're fighting, see those Hyenodons went down immediately. It's pretty handy. Later on, you get a weapon that you can use as an item to cast Scourge. Oh, look at that. See, it totally failed this time. So you win some, you lose some, you know? Well, that's not cool. Putting Dark on a Black Mage who already struggles. Oh, I landed a nice 22 damage hit. Isn't that exciting? The Thrill Shield. So yeah, at this point, I'm just finding a whole bunch of stuff that I can't use. I will be able to use it very soon. I'm going to take advantage of uh, a lot of the game's openness depends on you finding some items, and I kind of know what I'm doing. So on the next episode coming up, I'm gonna sort of sequence break the game. I mean, there's an intended sequence, but it's not hard and fast rule. So here we fight the first fiend. He is Lich. He hits very hard, and if you follow the buff format that I've talked about, haste, temper, use temper as many times as you can on a character, and you can take him down pretty quick. So we'll see how quick I actually do this. Oh, and you'll notice that I even have this fight in 2 times speed because it's not it's not hindering your ability to see what I'm doing. A good temper going. So temper isn't like a status effect; it just straight up buffs your strength or your attack power. I'm not sure exactly which one. And because they didn't make it a status effect, you can just keep stacking it forever. And as you'll see later, you can find this strength tonic or something like that that you can just continue to stack as well. So there are certainly ways to cheese this game. I'll put it that way. So yeah, stack another temper, 8 hits, 604 damage, and he's down. So that was after being hit with slow, which took away his haste. I could have done 16 hits there. Yeah, pretty good. So here's the good thing I can say after all this backtracking and stuff is at least once you fix the crystal, whatever they're doing here, that brings the light back to the crystal, there is a teleporter behind the crystal, and I won't have to backtrack anymore. So I finally get out of here, and I'm very excited for this next episode. See you then.